Mm. I've always used StreamYard. It's just a lot of people prefer Zoom for whatever reason. Let me clean my camera. A lot of people prefer Zoom, so I have that as a backup
I
for
got you.
everything.
I got you, man.
All right, what's up, everybody? I'm TALK-IS-PITT here. Welcome to a special edition, my first collab or collaboration, as I would like to call it, with Marcus Dean from the 304 podcast. Everybody, welcome in, Marcus.
Hey, what is up, TALK-IS-PITT? Thank you guys for having me along here. Appreciate it. We're going to be talking some ACC football tonight. ACC fans, get ready.
Yeah, some ACC football is on the air for tonight, like it usually is every night. I barely ever talk about anything outside of the ACC. Today, we are going to be looking at the 2022 football schedule, and we're also going to be predicting how we believe North Carolina will do this year for the 2022 season. Now, what I like to do, Marcus, is usually how I do a preview and prediction is I take a look at what happened last season.
Okay.
Who that team lost to the portal / graduation,
Okay.
who they gained from the portal.
Okay.
And then after that, that's when I start previewing and predicting their 2022 schedule. And at the end, or somewhere in the middle of it, I'll throw in some important notes like, this player's out or that coach is out or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
Whatever important information you feel relevant, just chime in and just let me know.
All right. Now, we did know
So
Sorry.
go
North
ahead.
Carolina did replace defensive coordinator from last year. So they have Gene Chizik aboard as their new defensive coordinator. So, as you guys might recognize him from Auburn, led Auburn to a national title back in 2010. Was also a coach on the Mack Brown staff during the 2005 Texas run for the national championship
Mm-hmm.
as well. So, definitely going to pipe up that defense a little bit for sure.
Oh, definitely. What I've noticed is North Carolina, they don't tend to lose a lot of coaches per se,
Not
or
very often.
even players to the portal period. And see, that's what I looked at when I was looking at who entered the transfer portal from North Carolina going somewhere else. There wasn't that many players. I think there was 10, maybe at the most.
At the most, they brought in 6 transfers. More importantly, the most important transfer they brought in Noah Kane from the University of Virginia, was their star outside linebacker. He is now playing the middle linebacker position here at North Carolina. Then North Carolina brought in also a corner and a safety from Ohio State. They
Yeah.
took some of their portals, and they brought in an offensive lineman from Harvard from the Ivy League. So they really needed some help on the offensive line. They went out through the portal, they addressed that, and they brought in the number 1 player from the state of Virginia during last year's recruiting class, Zach Rice, which is an excellent fit at the right tackle position for them. And they will not, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they have they just had their first scrimmage. Their freshman running backs tore it up, Mario Hampton, and also from Suffolk, Virginia, George Pettaway. Big shout out to my Virginia boys for making it good down in North Carolina. They both tore it up, and we are still waiting to see who the quarterback's going to be named, either Drake May or also see who the quarterback is between Drake May and also Jacoby. Jacoby. I'm losing my thought here.
Griswold?
Yeah,
Griswold?
Chrisley. Yeah, Chrisley. Yeah, Jacoby
Yeah.
Chrisley. Yeah, I lost my thought there for a second. But yeah,
Yeah.
those two are really going to be piping it up. And I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them play the first couple of the games before they get to the meat of their schedule against Notre Dame. And of course, we'll talk about that here coming up.
Oh, definitely. And see, that was my biggest question for North Carolina going into the season was who's going to take over for Sam Howell?
Yep.
Because the thing is, though, whoever takes over is going to have an even more difficult time than I think most people anticipate because, where is it? So they lose running back British Brooks to a season-ending injury. He, from what I read, was the projected starter for North Carolina in the running back rotation, and he's done for the rest of the season. I think he tore his ACL, if I'm not mistaken.
I've heard anything official yet, but that is the word we're getting out of Chapel Hill. That's nothing been officially announced yet, but that is the word.
Yeah, that's actually one of the notes I had to rewrite into here because I didn't know that up until a few minutes ago. I didn't know he was out for the rest of the season. Yeah. So I'm actually glad I found that out because now I'm a little bit more accurate with the information that I'm putting out and everything. I'm just letting you know this is live because for whatever reason, StreamYard's not letting me record no matter what I tried to do. So we got somebody named Chris Parrish up in the live saying, "What's up, fellas? What's up, Chris? Thank you for stopping by." Got Marcus Dean here from the 304 podcast. You can check him out on YouTube at the 304 podcast, and you can also check him out on Twitter at Marcus Dean. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll post links in the description to his things. I knew there was something I was forgetting to do. So after this uploads, I'll post all his links and information in the description of the video.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
So no problem. But yeah, back to the running back situation. Now, to me, I don't think North Carolina's defense is going to be the how should I say this? The question. I don't think that's going to be where, okay, well, they need to do this, that, and the third, help out the offense. Right. The offense, to me, is what took the biggest hit because the offensive line, they have to replace 3 starters.
Right.
And the biggest question that I've heard coming from a lot of North Carolina fans and what I've seen on online on social media is that right tackle is a big question for North Carolina. Not that they don't have experience. That's not the problem. They don't have the offensive line lacks chemistry because when you replace 3 starters from a 5-man unit, that's going to affect you significantly. Especially along, the offensive line. Now, I didn't take too deep of a look on who might actually replace them. I feel from what I read, no matter who replaces those 3 starters, we'll be able to help North Carolina, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but get to another bowl win season, a bowl eligible season.
Absolutely.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And one other thing, that you will look at the right tackle position. I look for Zach Rice to fill that at the right tackle position. And also another one of your right guard position, look for the transfer from Harvard to fill that role.
Yeah.
In terms of overall productivity, they lost the best quarterback they've had in North Carolina football history in Sam Howell. They got to replace. You can't replace Sam Howell. You just can't do that. I mean, it's like Pitt's going to have to replace Kenny Pickett. You don't replace talent like that. You hope the next wave and the next person comes in can at least somewhat duplicate that type of talent. So either Jacoby Criswell or Drake May is going to have to come in and steer the ship. They have the talent. They've been recruiting over the last 3 cycles. The last 3 cycles, they've averaged at the top 15 recruiting class. So those top 15 recruiting class, now is the time to shine. This is year 3. Now it's time to see what those players are made of. And I think that's why they went out and got Gene Chizik to shape up the defense and also to help recruiting because he's one of the best recruiters in the country. Now, I don't see a problem with Phil Longo in the offense. I think the offense will be just fine. Whoever they pick at quarterback, And it's going to be given the keys to the kingdom and have one of the best wide receivers in the ACC in Josh Downs. So you're going to have that to cater to and be their kind of their security blanket. I was going to say he would be the second best behind Jordan Addison, but we all know where Jordan Addison picked his ball up and went out west.
Yeah, we'll save that for a rainy day for whenever Jordan Addison decides to enter the transfer portal again.
Yeah.
And see, you do bring up some pretty interesting points. When it comes to North Carolina's offensive line and the fact that they have to replace 3 starters, it's not like the people waiting behind who they lost don't know what they're doing or don't have what I would call it enough playing time, because they do.
Right.
And that's just like Pitt. We constantly rotate our offensive linemen. And when I watched the North Carolina and Pitt game earlier this morning from last year to gather some more notes, I realized how often North Carolina rotates both their offensive and defensive line.
Right.
And that's how you keep fresh bodies in there. And that's how North Carolina, and that's unfortunately, they're going to have to do more rotating than they probably want to this year. And that's only to keep the bodies fresh. When it comes to offensive linemen, I personally feel that's the one position where a player should not be out on that field for more than a series. And then I think the next series you rotate somebody for a couple of snaps, bring that guy back in, keep the body fresh, keep the blood going, the oxygen levels up, the energy level up. So I don't think it's necessarily the offensive line that's the biggest issue. It's who are going to be their skill players outside of downs. Who's going to take that number 2 spot?
Okay, now your number 2 spot, you're looking at not only Josh Downs, you're looking at Antoine Greene, who's coming in. Antoine Greene's going to be someone who's going to be very versatile, very capable. And there is, and you're going to have capable running backs. Even though British Brooks went down, you still have 4 running backs in the room. That was a 5-man room. So you're going to have very, very capable playmakers around the new quarterback, whoever this new quarterback may be. Either Criswell or Drake May. We shall see. But my money's on Drake May because
that same here. I was going to say that Drake May, from what I've seen in the spring game and just the zip that he has on his ball, he's slightly more accurate than Griswold or Criswell. I think that's how you pronounce his last name.
Criswell.
Yeah. So I personally think it will be him to start, but what I think North Carolina is going to have to do to figure out the definite starter, because I don't think they're going to figure that out week 1. I don't. I think it's going to take a few games.
A
few games into the season.
Yeah, I think both players will play at least the first 3 games, because those are out of conference games. And they're, you have Florida A&M, you have Georgia State, and then you have Appalachian State, then you have a break, then Notre Dame. So you got a little bit of time to build. Whoever starts that Notre Dame game has to be your, beyond a shadow of a doubt, number 1 starter. Number one.
I would agree with that. It's your non-conference schedule, and I'm looking at it right now, is brutal. And I only say that because the last team you want to play in the non-conference game is Appalachian State.
Yeah, they're solid.
They're, in my opinion, I don't know if you saw, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, maybe the year before COVID, Appalachian State almost went up to Happy Valley and almost took down Penn State.
Yep.
And they've taken down Michigan before.
Yep.
And to me, that non-conference game, in my opinion, and how well somebody does at the Notre Dame game. So those two games are going to dictate how well North Carolina does for the season. Because, I mean, if you lose to Florida A&M, Mac Brown's getting fired.
Yeah. I mean,
well, he's not getting fired. He's Mac Brown. He has enough pull to keep himself around because he's Mac Brown. But you got to put him on a hot seat if they lose to Florida A&M, who I didn't even know existed until a couple days ago. So, I mean, I'm fairly new to this college football world. Like, I've only had a favorite team since 2016, and I've only started following college football the way you do and the way I'm doing now since last year. Right. So, if it seems like I'm talking out of my ass, I am. But yeah, like I said, like we said a few minutes ago, the offensive line isn't the biggest question. It's the skill set. And you even gave your opinion on who you thought the number 2 wide receiver was going to be. And that's the name that I kept seeing among North Carolina fans and just media personnel in general is they really need to get Josh Downs a weapon because he can't do everything himself. It wasn't like last year when he had Ty Chandler, who they lost Ty Chandler too, who also rushed for 1,000 yards and was able to take a lot of the load off of Josh Downs so he didn't have to do everything. Ty Chandler's a great running back, a very good running back who, to be honest, I didn't think he was going to do that good last year. I didn't think he was going to break 1,000. But the way North Carolina's offense is designed, because you guys love to run the jet sweep, a lot of RPOs. The thing that baffled me is if Sam Howell stood in the pocket, he was going down.
Yeah, he always had to be on the run, be on the move. Be rolling out to his right, left. He couldn't stay in the pocket no more than 3 seconds because the offensive line could not hold up against anybody. And my God, I thought I felt bad. I literally, legitimately felt bad for someone when they played Pitt's defensive line last year in the monsoon game.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I felt terrible for him.
I do too. I mean, the thing is though, you're getting beat down 21-0 in the first quarter. The first quarter is not even over.
Right.
And you come back, and then all of a sudden, God opens up the heavens and unleashes a monsoon, and it really was a monsoon. Unleashes a monsoon down on North Carolina, and it played out the same exact way it did during 2019 because we didn't play you guys COVID year. We didn't play North Carolina COVID year. And how it ended was Sam Howell on the last play throwing an incomplete pass. What happened last year? Slightly different, but same situation. Last play, Sam Howell rolls out to his right, launches the ball in the rain, which to me was a mistake. I knew as soon as it left his hands, it was probably going to get picked off because I started looking. He had a clear shot to the end zone if he would have took off running. Nobody would have got to him. And I guess he wanted to give the ball to a receiver for whatever reason, but it ended up getting picked off. And you know, that was it. North Carolina protected very well running the ball. Extremely well. Not passing the ball. And that's what the new quarterback is going to have to worry about. Is he mobile enough?
He is to a certain extent, but if you're looking for a mobility quarterback, you're going to have to go with Criswell. It just depends on how that offensive line is. If that offensive line is intact, then you go with Drake May. If there's any questions about the offensive line, then you're going to go with Criswell because Criswell is your more mobile quarterback. Drake May is about 6'6", 215, 220 pounds. That's what he was last time I seen any type of stats. So that's what you'll be looking at.
That's a big quarterback.
Yeah. But he's tall and he's skinny and lean.
Well, we actually have a quarterback like that on our roster, Nate Yarnell. He's 6'6", 215. He's from Texas, actually. We don't recruit very well from Texas, and I'm surprised we even have 2 players on the roster from Texas right now, because we do not recruit well at all from that state. So it's always great to get somebody down from Texas. But as far as big quarterbacks go, he's big, but he's mobile. He's not mobile like to where May is, to where, May have to pull out all the stops to get away from the edge rushers and the linemen and everything. Nate Yarnell can run, which is rare for a quarterback who's that tall and that slinky that doesn't play wide receiver unless your name is Megatron. But his name's not Megatron. So as far as North Carolina goes, I honestly believe whoever is the most mobile probably should take over, only because of the questions with the offensive line. And the offensive line needs to protect whoever. It doesn't matter if they're mobile or not. They need to protect whoever that is behind the center. And speaking of behind the center, there's something I wrote down here that I guess I didn't. It must be on my other notebook upstairs, because I have a different one for each team.
Gotcha.
So I don't get notes mixed up. I'm dyslexic. If I don't organize something, it's gonna get all mixed up. But before I get back, so I just realized we have a crap ton of comments. One from the 304 podcast, actually. They're in here. Oklahoma ain't worthy of sniffing USC's butt. I hope you set up a Lego every day for the rest of your life. I love Legos. I wanted Ravens to take Chandler. Okay. Hey, John. Welcome to the stream. Let's see. Okay. Looks like I'm caught up. Try not to ignore the comments too long.
Exactly.
So I guess whatever I had written down wasn't that important. Now, do you think, because in my personal opinion, the offense was built around Sam Howell and his capabilities? Do you think?
Absolutely. It was 100% built around Sam Howell, because Sam Howell came in as a 5-star top 15 player in the country, flipped from Florida State to North Carolina as soon as Mac Brown got the job. They went out and got themselves a quarterback. He started as a true freshman, played for several years, is now with the Washington Commanders and then in the NFL. So I would, definitely, it was built for him, and they are trying to find a quarterback to replicate what he did, even though it's daggone near impossible to replicate what he did. But that was the plan, and hopefully Jacoby Criswell or Drake May, hopefully they can do half the job. If they can do half, they'll be doing something.
Yeah. Griswold reminds me of Tyrod Taylor.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit of Tyrod Taylor when Tyrod Taylor was at Virginia Tech. And from what I've seen, he's definitely the more mobile of the two quarterbacks. I think May's just slightly, and I mean slightly more accurate.
I would agree with that.
What was I lost my train of thought. My cat came into my peripheral view, and now that's where that's where my mind went to. So what was I saying? Okay,
Drake May and how he's more mobile, but Drake May is Criswell is more mobile, but Drake May's a little bit more.
I think I think North Carolina, as far as, talking about the quarterback situation is going to go, I would honestly say May starts, but he doesn't finish this season.
I think he gets the first crack at it. And I think if it's not going well and they barely squeak by Florida A&M, they squeak by, Georgia State, and if they are performing well against Appalachian State, I think he would probably get pulled and Criswell in. But I would not be surprised also to see a 2-quarterback system as well.
Yeah, me either. And there's nothing wrong with using 2 quarterbacks to win games.
No,
eventually, you're going to have to settle on 1 quarterback because people will start catching on. And like you said, if they're not doing well, playing teams like App State or even Georgia State, then they're going to have to figure some things out because that Georgia State game's actually on the road this year.
Yeah, it is.
So scheduling in an opponent like that on the road, somebody you're not too 100% familiar with, not saying the Georgia State game is going to be a trap game for North Carolina. I honestly do not feel there is a true trap game on their schedule unless it's going by if they're going to make a bowl game or not.
Right.
That's the only time I think a trap game is going to mean any significance for North Carolina this season. I mean, they did pull off some good wins last year.
They did.
Miami, they beat Miami. They beat Wake Forest.
Yep.
And those are 2 very good quality wins. But there's this head scratcher that I'm looking at.
Georgia Tech.
Something that reminds me of the Pitt in Western Michigan situation, and that's North Carolina getting clobbered by Georgia Tech.
Yep. I knew where you was going.
You knew exactly where I was going. As soon as I said head scratcher.
No sense. Yeah, it makes no sense. Hey, but that's why they play the games. That's exactly why you should never take any team in your conference for granted. That's why, in my opinion, most conference games are 50-50s unless beyond a shadow of a doubt. But it's conference, you never know what's going to happen.
I think non-conference games mean a lot more than what people want to believe they do or even acknowledge. Because you have to realize those 4 non-conference games or 3 or 2, whatever conference you're a part of, because I think the Big Ten, they only give them 2 non-con games or 3.
Big Ten is 3. The SEC's 4. The Pac-12 is 3. The Big 10 or the Big 12 is 3 as well.
Okay, so in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure you probably would agree with most of it, non-conference games are meant to shape your team for your conference.
Yep,
I agree. And that's why people schedule cupcake games in the non-conference. Now, do I like cupcake games? No, I don't. I hate them. I went to one last year when Pitt played New Hampshire, and it was like 56-0 by the end of the first half. That's not games I like. I don't like those games as much as I like a beatdown every now and again. I want it to be against somebody who actually has weight to their name.
Exactly. Someone can fight back.
Yeah. So just like 2003, to me, this in 2003, this was the most embarrassing loss in college football history, is when Alabama lost to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I was very young when that happened, so I barely remember that. I mean, I remember seeing it on the news because it was a big deal back then. And I think anytime a team like Northern Illinois takes down a blue blood, because Alabama is the blue blood, that should be recognized as the second greatest upset, maybe third greatest upset now that I think of one more. Because I'm always going to consider Pitt beating West Virginia in 2007 the greatest upset ever to happen. But, the Alabama, Northern Illinois,
Michigan, App State, Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan and App State. Wow, that was a very long time ago. See, stuff like that is what North Carolina has to avoid.
Right.
Now, I don't want to say most of their games were one possession losses.
No, some were, and the biggest one that they had last season when they played North Carolina State, they were up by double digits with a little over 2 minutes left to go in the game, and ended up blowing the game and losing the game by 3.
Yeah. So actually, I was just about to bring that up. That actually is a side note right here. So there were some games where they lost by one possession, and if they didn't lose by one possession, it was usually horrific.
Yeah, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech.
Yeah. And to be honest, I thought North Carolina should have beat Virginia Tech. I didn't think Virginia Tech was any good at all. And I even tried to tell people that, 28-7, Pitt beat them down in Blacksburg on their own home field by 21 points, which is not something that's easy to do, by the way.
No, it is not. I've been to many Tech football games.
Me too.
And in terms of in terms of the game against Virginia Tech, I think North Carolina went in reading their own press clippings, and it was the timing was right for an upset for Virginia Tech. It was a packed house. It was, it was a crazy atmosphere field, and I think that was this North Carolina got ahead of themselves and reading their press clippings is all it was.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because not only did they lose to Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and NC State, they lost to South Carolina, Notre Dame, Pitt, and this is also another head scratcher, Florida State.
Yeah, that one came down to a couple last couple possessions. That one that they just was off their game that game. Nothing went right during that game for North Carolina, so it was kind of a head scratcher too.
Exactly, and if they can find a way to erase the mistakes, I don't want to say erase the mistakes of the game that they were in last year, because they don't have everybody that played in that game last year.
Right.
They lost players to the portal and everything, so they're going to have to find their own unique way to build chemistry with one another. I think if the offensive line, before we move on to the actual schedule, I think if the offensive line can gel, I think North Carolina will do better than I think they will do. I
would agree with that.
I'm not as high on North Carolina as a lot of people are. I'm just not. I don't think they're going to be, and this is speaking in terms of ACC football standards, I don't think they're going to be bottom of the barrel. I don't think they're going to be down there with Syracuse or Georgia Tech or even Duke. I think North Carolina, even on a bad day, is better than Georgia Tech, Duke, and Syracuse put together.
Right.
Because you guys, like you said, you pull in a good recruiting class, especially for the last 3 cycles. You rank top 15 in recruiting. And you would hate to have that record and none of it pan out.
Right. That's why I think this year is very important. Not only did you lose Sam Howell from the previous year, this is going to be Mack Brown's prove it year. Is he really worth? Does he still have it? Can he still play? And can he still coach at this level?
Mm. Sorry, I'm thirsty.
Oh, no, you're good.
Got some water, some good old high quality Bobby Boucher. But yeah, and just to touch up really quick before we move on here, the one thing that I always thought was North Carolina's problem is not the talent wise, not even the play calling, but it's shooting themselves in the foot.
It's execution. It comes down to their execution.
They're not executing to their talent level.
Right.
To be honest,
they're not disciplined enough to do that, and that's why Gene Chizik was brought in to bring discipline to the defense. That's why Phil Longo was reevaluated and wanted to put more discipline towards the offense, and that was their big word of the summer, big word of the spring is discipline. It's not that the talent's not there. The talent's there beyond measure. They have the talent to win an ACC championship. It's discipline, and it's putting the pieces in the right places. They move people around to different positions. So we shall see this year on how it all turns out.
Because I had North Carolina winning the Coastal last year, and I had them. If anybody would have saw coming what happened to Clemson, then
they were lying. They were lying to themselves, because no one thought no one thought DJ Uiagalelei would be that terrible. Nobody's seen that.
Nobody did, not even me.
No.
And I don't hate Clemson. Actually, Pitt and Clemson fans have a healthy fanship between the two teams, and nobody saw the amount of injuries that they would go through, because they were riddled with injuries last year. Especially on the offensive line. The defense didn't start taking a hit until the midseason when they lost Brian Breesy.
Right.
Once he went down, I knew Clemson wasn't winning the ACC and most likely not even making it. But because of how bad DJ Ukulele, and I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try. Well, whatever. So what? It was really him that was the problem with Clemson. It was DJ who you could tell he was not comfortable the whole entire year. He was second guessing his checkdowns, his reads. He wasn't handing the ball off when he should. He thought there was a better option at the RPO to pass the ball instead of run. And that's the thing about the RPO. Even if it is designed to start out as a pass play, you just hand it off to the running back if a lane opens up. It's it's that simple. But I'll get to Clemson eventually before the season starts. Because of my hectic work schedule, because I work at a medical waste facility. We burn all the biohazard stuff from hospitals and all that stuff. And it's not a glamorous job when you're losing 10 pounds every shift because of the heat. I'm standing next to an incinerator for 12 hours a day. So because of that, I am so far behind. I was already supposed to be done with all my previous predictions, so I could start doing other videos, trash talking videos for Golden Blue Dude, since, he did. I don't know if you saw that, but he made a video about me.
No, I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, he made a video about me. Pitt fan goes missing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, because I wasn't around that often for the past few weeks, and he made a little trash talk video. Now, when he posted the video was right when I found out that I could no longer attend the backyard brawl because of work. My new boss is not honoring my day off. And I've only been with the company for about 7.5 months. So 1, I don't have seniority. 2, I don't have vacation time. So I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So I have to work. Unfortunately, I won't get off until halftime. I won't walk out the door for my job until halftime. So he found that out, made a video about me, and he posted it at the wrong time because that's, like I just said, was when I found out. So when I saw it, and the fact that a few of my subscribers who have my phone number were blowing up my phone saying, Golden Blue Dude, oh my God, you got to respond to him. So I did. I was a little bit mean, maybe really mean. But it's all good and fun and everything. I wish I was attending that game, but I'm not. I did actually attend the North Carolina game last year, so I was actually there in the stands whenever the monsoon came down. But I was buried so far back towards the press boxes that I was under all the bleachers, so I wasn't even getting soaked at all. But as far as back to North Carolina goes, I want to start previewing and predicting their schedule for this year. And I want to get your opinion before we start. Out of all the schedules in the ACC, where do you rank North Carolina being the most difficult, 1 through 10 being difficult, easy, difficult? You know what I mean.
I was just thinking about that. I think they're about a mid tier. There's nobody on there that's really super scary on non-conference or their big games. They get Miami, they get they get Notre Dame. They don't play Clemson, and they play NC State, which is going to be a great team this year. But they don't have anybody super scary. I mean, that's why I would put them about a mid level. I mean, it's nothing too overly scary.
No, okay. To me, I would say they probably have the second or third most difficult schedule within the ACC. In my opinion, is Georgia Tech has the most brutal schedule out of anybody in all of college football.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
All of college football. If you can find somebody's schedule that is more difficult than Georgia Tech's, let me know. I think as difficult as their schedule is, it's manageable. And when I mean manageable, they can probably pull off a win that I project them losing. And I had to give them one of those. Yeah. I give everybody. I hate living next to a highway. I really hate living next to a highway. So I do that for everybody that I preview and predict, even West Virginia. Pitt was not one of them because I'm not picking Pitt to lose to West Virginia. But even West Virginia, a team that I hate almost more than anybody except one team. I gave them a win that they shouldn't win, and that was Baylor. I had them being Baylor, even though most people have them losing to Baylor. Even though the game's in Morgantown, I gave them that win because they've never lost to Baylor ever since joining the Big 12. They have, I believe, they're undefeated against Baylor.
They lost last year to Baylor, so that's one thing. They did lose last year to Baylor. And actually, if you go watch our prediction video on the 304 podcast, check out the Baylor video we did, and it's uploaded now. I actually picked West Virginia to upset Baylor in Morgantown. So,
oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
Or is it Morgantown that Baylor's never won?
I think Baylor's never won in Morgantown.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. I might have got that confused. My bad. So. Everybody, this is the official preview and prediction portion of this show with me and Marcus Dean. Go check them out on Twitter and YouTube at the 304 podcast. Also, ladies and germs, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Make sure, you smash the thumbs up, help the YouTube algorithm recommend my channel, even though my subscriber count has gone up dramatically in the past week. I've gained 12 subscribers in the past week.
There you
I'm
go.
at 114 right now.
Actually, 115. I checked before you went
Oh,
on there.
really?
Yeah, you're 115.
Oh, I feel special. I don't
There
know
you
why,
go.
but so North Carolina, the day before my 33rd birthday, begins the season against Florida A&M. The
That
day
better be a
before my
win.
33rd birthday.
That better be a win.
That is a win.
Yeah, that is a win.
There is no way in holy HE double hockey sticks that North Carolina should lose this game. Now, if it was on the road, I would still have North Carolina winning, but not by much, because
Right.
you always got to give somewhat of a home field advantage to whoever you're playing against. I don't care who it is. Because that home field crowd may be all that team needs to start knocking teeth down somebody's throat. So I have that as a win. I have that as a double-digit win. Now, if North Carolina didn't have to replace as much on the offensive side of the ball, this would be a quadruple-digit win. But 2 touchdowns, I think that's great for a team against Florida A&M. What do you think?
I agree. I'm going to go as far as a 3 touchdown win should be their benchmark. They should beat them by no less than 21.
I agree. Then they go on the road for the first road game of the season against Appalachian State. Now, during the talk about what happened last year and playing or losing games you shouldn't lose, this is a game that North Carolina should not lose.
No, they shouldn't.
However, this will be one of those times that they do lose a game they shouldn't. App State, no matter who is at quarterback, running back, offensive line, defensive line, they are going to fight you tooth and nail. Just ask Michigan, ask Penn State, ask numerous amounts of teams that have almost fallen or have fallen at the hands of App State. Because it's on the road, I have Appalachian State winning. If this was at home, this would not even be close.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree. I think North Carolina is going to have enough firepower to get past them. The game will be close. It'll be a good game to watch, but I think North Carolina finds a way to win.
Okay. Do you think it's going to be a double-digit lead, or you think it's going to be one of those games that turned out how the Penn State and App State game did?
I think it's going to be within one possession, 1 to 2 possessions.
Yeah. It's going to be. That's what I'm thinking. Now, when I picked App State to win, I didn't pick App State to win by double digits or a blowout win, because App State doesn't have the talent to do that.
Right.
They did lose their starting quarterback from last year, who actually transferred to an ACC team, and I can't remember which one. Crap. I should have wrote that down, too. I can't remember which one he transferred to, but App State's starting quarterback from last year is gone in the transfer portal, and I can't remember who's replacing him. So that's why I have App State, even though they lost their quarterback, they're still going to win, because it's a home game. And you have to realize this is Appalachian State. This isn't Georgia State or Kennesaw State or even Kent State, of that matter. This is Appalachian State. They play better when they're playing against teams they're not supposed to beat.
Right.
Just like Pitt. But, so you have App State winning. I have them losing. You still have North Carolina undefeated so far. I have them 1-1. Then they have another road game. And this also was half the reason why I thought North Carolina was going to lose this game. They have another road game against Georgia State. Now, I don't know too much about Georgia State. Matter of fact, the only thing I know is their logo looks exactly like Pitt's. Their Panther head logo.
Yeah.
100% looks like ours. I don't know too much about them. Do you know anything about them?
Not very much. They play in the Sun Belt Conference. I don't know very much about them. Not that I can recall. I mean, they're this your mid-tier Sun Belt Conference team, and I think North Carolina should have no problem taking care of them as well.
I agree. I have North Carolina winning that game as well. I do think it's going to be kind of an App State situation where it's a one-possession game. But then again, I don't know too much about Georgia State, so North Carolina can go in there and completely wipe them off the face of the planet. Do I think North Carolina has the talent to do that against a team like Georgia State? Yes. But the likelihood of that happening is, slim to none.
Right.
So I think, honestly, as long as they win that game, they should be somewhat proud of themselves.
Right.
But you really should blow out a team like Georgia State if you're North Carolina.
Absolutely.
You should. So if they don't blow them out by double digits, I would still ask a lot of questions. But I still have them winning that game. So you have them winning. I have them winning. They're 2-1, 3-0 for you. Actually, let me write that down because I'm gonna forget. All right, cool. So this is where the schedule starts getting really difficult.
Yep.
They come back home out of all teams to play Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame has already named their starting quarterback for this year.
Taylor Bashir. Taylor Bashir.
So the only reason why I even know that is because Pitt has two Notre Dame transfers on the team, a linebacker and a running back. And a Pittsburgh media personnel went down to Notre Dame to interview some of the players about who we picked up in the portal. And good players we got. So when the quarterback was asked about Sibo Flemister, who is a running back that we picked up from Notre Dame, he said, the quarterback said, "Don't be surprised if he starts."
Oh, wow.
And I said, I highly doubt that. There's no way you're starting over Izzy Abanikanda. There's no way you're starting over Vincent Davis. And there's sure as hell no way you're starting over Rodney Hammond. I only called him Dion Lewis because he's built like Dion Lewis at 5'9", 200 pounds.
Right.
So anyway, Notre Dame. Do we even really need to say what we're both thinking?
It's an L. It's an L. I mean,
it's an L.
It's an L.
Yeah. It's an L. So you have North Carolina finishing the non-conference slate at 3-1. I have them at 2-2.
Not far off.
Not far off. I mean, it's okay to disagree with each other. It really is. Mm-hmm. Because you may see something that I don't, and plus you're a little bit more knowledgeable at this than I am. You're my first collab.
Oh, sweet.
First person I ever have done a show with, not counting Golden Blue Dude.
Oh, dude, that's an honor. Thank you, man. That's awesome.
So, congratulations for being the first collab on TALK-IS-PITT. But the good thing about college football is there's always somebody out there who can give you insight onto what they think is going to happen. Not necessarily that they think you're wrong, but they're going to be like, hey, you know, but what about this, that, and the third?
Right.
But yeah, moving on. On the 1st of whatever that month is,
October,
they play Virginia Tech on the 1st of October. Now, it is a home game. Virginia Tech, to me, is going to take a big step back, even bigger than what they were last year.
I would definitely agree with that.
It's actually funny we mentioned this because Virginia Tech is next on my list of preview predictions. So this will actually help me do that video. Like I said, Virginia Tech's going to take a very big step back. Braxton Burmeister, who I believe he's returning.
Nope, he is gone.
Oh, he's not. He's gone.
He's gone. They have true fresh people out of the transfer portal. They brought in a Marshall transfer, and they also brought the transfer Brown from South Carolina. So they're battling it out, and right now looks like the Marshall transfer will be your starting quarterback as of right. If the season started tomorrow, the Marshall transfer would be your starting quarterback.
Okay, well, Virginia Tech's going to do even worse than I thought. Then this is a win.
Yeah, it's going to be a win for North Carolina.
This is a win. There's just, with how much Virginia Tech has to replace, especially at more key positions, because I think their whole entire defense was depleted. Holyfield, if I'm not mistaken, may be Dax Holyfield, their linebacker for Virginia Tech, may actually be the only returning starter on defense.
Actually, the Virginia Tech brings back multiple. They bring back six. Yeah, they bring back 6 starters on defense. So they bring up their total. They lost one off their defensive line. They bring back their starting back end and also their starting linebackers. They just had to replace some pieces on the defensive line.
Okay. My bad. Thank you, Marcus, for correcting me.
You're welcome.
Because I swore that may have been Virginia, because I get those two teams mixed up constantly.
Without thinking right off the top of my head, I think you might be right.
Yeah. So, but even with Virginia Tech returning 6 starters on defense, that means they have to replace 5.
Yeah.
And I think replacing 5 players on defense is enough to where you're going to have questions throughout the whole entire season on how well the chemistry is between your defensive players, period. And it's just not the defensive line, because the defensive line can't do everything. They can't.
Absolutely.
You're going to have those edge rushers. You're going to have the middle linebackers or the Mike linebackers come up into the run lane and stop the run. I mean, this is a win. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a double-digit win for North Carolina.
Possibly.
I wouldn't.
Possibly.
So after that is 3-2 for me, 4-1 for you. Virginia Tech, then they go on the road on the 8th against Miami. Miami's a contender for the Coastal. Miami's the favorite for the Coastal.
Absolutely.
Some people have Miami winning the entire ACC. a little bit
very well
ahead of
possible.
themselves.
It's a little possible, but it depends. It's possible. It just depends on how well they gel with their new coaching staff. It just depends on that coaching staff.
Yeah, I say it's more possible than it was last year.
I agree.
I'll say that.
I'll say that. Yeah.
I hate Miami, and I find it hard to give them fair shots because I don't like them. I don't.
Right.
If there's any true rival in the ACC for Pitt right now, it would be Miami, and there's no one else. No
Right.
Virginia Tech, Syracuse, or Boston College, or Wake Forest, as their fans have said, oh, well, you're our new rival. No, we're not. So with Miami being the Coastal favorite, and I do firmly believe they will win the Coastal, Miami,
Right.
I do have this game being a loss for North Carolina. However,
it'll be close.
It'll be close. And I mean extremely close, to where whoever screws up at the wrong time is going to lose the game.
I can see that.
Like, let's say Miami
or fumble or a missed field goal or something.
Yeah, fumble. They fumble the ball at the 50-yard line. North Carolina takes it down and wins by a field goal.
It's possible.
I can see that happening. Now, should that happen? No. As talented as Miami is, North Carolina, and I hate to say this, is probably going to get their ass kicked.
It's possible.
But I also think it's possible because, like you said, anybody could beat anybody. Anything can happen on any day when it comes to sports, period, not just college football, basketball, hockey, whatever the case may be. Anything can happen if you get the right mindset and the right group of players.
Right.
But I'm trying to be realistic here. Miami's too talented.
Yeah, I think Miami wins this one.
I do too.
Away.
I do think Miami does win this one. So as of right now, we're both tied 4-2 for how we think North Carolina will do. Then they go back on the road on the 15th. I'll try to speed this up. Then they go back on the road on the 15th to play Duke.
That's a win.
Yeah, I'm not even.
Yeah, that's not even up for discussion.
Yeah. So go on the road, Duke, win. Then they come back home to play the Pittsburgh Panthers. I went back and forth with this game. And the one thing I tried to give North Carolina is home field advantage. However, I couldn't do that in this one.
Right.
I just couldn't. I tried. I really did try to give North Carolina every single edge I possibly could, but it's just not there. If there's one team that can match the talent level that North Carolina has as far as experience, production, or just pure talent, it's Pitt. And I do not think North Carolina is once again going to be able to handle the pass rush that Pitt brings along. And that's what I think is going to be the Achilles heel for North Carolina in this game, is the defensive line for Pitt, or just the defense, period.
Right.
Because outside of Josh Downs, the quarterback has nobody to throw to that he can rely on. Let me say that. Got a couple more people coming in. What's up, Ken? West Virginia fan, true Seminole. No, their quarterbacks don't have enough people they can rely on. And who knows, they may actually have those reliable playmakers that can bail them out by this game. There's no reason why the number 2 receiver spot should not be solidified by this game.
Absolutely.
There's no reason why.
Absolutely. And for this one here, I'm going to agree with you because I think Pitt is just a smidgen ahead on talent-wise, and I think their quarterback play either Nick Patty or Keaton Slovis, whoever it might be. I think Pitt does pick up the win in this one.
Agree. All right. There we go. So both agree Pitt wins. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I do not expect that.
No.
I'd say at the most one possession, and if it does go beyond one possession, probably going to get ugly if it does.
It could.
So, and Keaton Slovis is not a terrible quarterback. He's not Kenny Pickett, so people can stop saying that because that annoys the hell out of me. Stop comparing Keaton Slovis to Kenny Pickett. For one, played in two very different styles of offense. Very different styles of offense. And second, they're both different players in their own right.
Right.
Keaton Slovis had a great freshman year. It took Kenny Pickett 9,000 years to become great. So, whatever the case may be, it needs to stop.
Right. We shall see.
But like you said, we match talent. I believe that North Carolina and Pitt match talent. But the edge has to go to the defense.
Yeah.
Not saying North Carolina's defense is bad because it's not. I don't think it will be bad. It's honestly what bailed them out from an even worse season last year.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Pitt wins that game. I have North Carolina at 5-3. Yours is 4-3. I believe so, unless I'm miscounting, which I probably am.
We're both at 5-3.
Oh, both 5-3. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let me change that. See, this is why I hate being dyslexic. Numbers screw with me. And honestly, that's part of the reason why I don't do a lot of videos, is because my dyslexia is very bad. College football is all about numbers.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't do well with numbers. I'm surprised I even passed math class. But moving on. Now, this is the part of the schedule, in my opinion, that could make or break the season.
Yep.
And they have an away game against Virginia on the 5th of November. Now, Virginia returns a lot on offense, not so much on defense.
No, their defense is atrocious. So
yeah, and their defense is atrocious.
Yeah, this is going to be a high-scoring game on both sides. Virginia has a great offense. They bring back a ton of talent on offense, but I think North Carolina picks up the victory in this one.
Yeah, I have North Carolina winning this game too because of how atrocious Virginia's defense was. Now, I'm even surprised Pitt allowed Virginia to stay in that game as long as they did. But that Pitt and Virginia game was one hell of a game. That was my favorite game throughout the whole season last year.
Yeah, it was
back and forth.
Yep.
But you could tell Virginia had no idea what they were doing defensively. No. Players were yelling at each other. They weren't getting lined up in the correct position. Corners were lining up in linebacker spots. Linebackers thought they were supposed to go out and pass block or pass defend. And it's hard. And yes, true Seminole, that is true. For the first time since Larry Fitzgerald, Pitt is battling Florida State for a 5-star wide receiver. Actually, so is North Carolina, ironically. I believe you might know this name, Hakeem Williams.
Yep.
I believe North Carolina's in his top schools, top choices of schools. Florida State is, Pitt is, and I know there's a 5-star edge rusher Desmond Umazulu. He put North Carolina and Pitt in his top 4.
Yep. As well as Auburn.
Yeah, that too. Thank you. So it's always great when we get attention from players like that normally would have never paid us no mind.
Yeah.
But okay, does Marcus not have a YouTube channel? Yes, he does. I'm gonna post the links a little bit later on, True Seminole. Or if you want, what I will do is because you commented on one of my videos prior, I'll link his stuff to that comment, and you can go look at that and subscribe to his channel and also his Twitter. His Twitter information will be there. And plus, at the end of the live stream, I'll have him, tell everybody where you can find him at and all that stuff. Hey, VicTube, welcome, VicTube. Didn't realize you were in here. My bad. Feel so bad. Yep, 304 podcast. It is right, Chris. Great channel. I like them better than Golden Blue Dude.
We appreciate all the support.
No problem. But back to the video at hand, because I have another YouTube channel that I keep separate from this channel for professional reasons, and I have a scheduled live stream that I'm actually 20 minutes past due for. But they can wait. UVA win. Me and you both agreed on that. So what does that put them at?
6-3 for both of us.
Yeah, 6-3, which is they're bowl eligible. North Carolina's going bowling. That, to me, is what every ACC team, and I'm only saying this for the ACC because, let's face it, it's not the most talent-ridden conference in college football. Competitive, yes, very competitive. Talent-wise, not really. UVA win. We know that. Wake Forest.
That's going to be, I would have said loss originally, but they lost Sam Hartman to a season-ending illness. They're not saying anything what it is out of expression of privacy for Sam.
Oh, yeah, that is right.
So I'm going to go ahead. Previously, I'd given this one a loss in our North Carolina video that we did on the 304 podcast. I gave this one a loss, but I'm going to go ahead and flip that to a win due to the fact that they lost the very talented quarterbacks. So they're in the same kind of boat as North Carolina, trying to find that next quarterback to replace a legend.
Well, I'm also going to flip that to a win because thank you for reminding me of that. That's something I actually forgot about, is how much time is Sam Hartman actually going to miss? From what I'm hearing, it's the whole entire season.
Yeah, it's the season. Yeah, it's already came out. CBS Sports reported it a few days ago. He's going to be out for the season due to an illness. There are no further details were at this time.
VicTube. Me and Mark both said that we have North Carolina beating Virginia. I don't see North Carolina losing to Virginia or even any of the Virginias of that matter.
No.
So I'm going to flip that as a win too. So that's going to, mess up my win total a little bit. And you even have them as a win. So right now that's 7-3 for North Carolina. That's still, to me, a pretty good season considering all the questions surrounding the program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this next game is the head-scratcher game from last year.
Georgia
that should have never happened.
Georgia Tech. By God, if you don't beat Georgia Tech this year and they're really, really super down this year, then something's wrong. Something is wrong in Tar Heel land if you do not beat Georgia Tech this year.
Exactly. Welcome in, Joey Foster. I agree. Georgia Tech may be worse than what people think, or they may be better than what people think. That's how I think Georgia Tech's going to go now. When I say better, that depends on how
You're
well the
definitely better.
transfers play. Because that's Georgia Tech's problem, is their team is pretty much going to be transfer starters. That's what it is. And that builds a problem with chemistry.
Right.
You know, are you guys going to have chemistry? That's what I tried to explain to Gold and Blue Dude and everybody else about West Virginia and their whole entire team. The chemistry is not there between your whole entire team outside of the offense and defensive line. There's no chemistry. So I have this as an easy win. Now, you're going to have to figure out a way to contain Jeff Sims because he is the reason why North Carolina lost that game.
Yeah. And I think this year they'll have an answer for him because he's not going to have anybody to hand the ball off to, and he's going to be pretty much a one-man show.
Yeah, I have North Carolina winning this game. I think we're both in agreement on that.
Yeah.
So that's 8-3. The last game of the season. Now, North Carolina's already bowl eligible by this point. Do I think they're going to let that go to their head? Yes.
No. I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think they'll let them go to their head. This game will be difficult. They're playing Devin Leary, probably going to be the ACC Player of the Year. And unless they throw a monkey wrench and have a terrible year like they thought, in other words, if North Carolina State pulls a North Carolina from last year, because North Carolina State is highly ranked this year, unless they take a dive and pull a North Carolina, as I like to say, but pull a North Carolina, this is going to be a loss for the Tar Heels. Even though this game is going to be a good game to watch, I think it's going to be definitely a loss for the Tar Heels at home.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, they're already going bowling. The players will relax slightly to the point where they're going to take their foot off the pedal,
right,
and maybe blow this one.
Right.
That's what I meant. I probably should have explained that a little bit more. But I also have North Carolina losing this game. I have North Carolina losing this game. I think NC State is just not necessarily all around a better team, but I think because of who they have, especially at quarterback, they do have options at receivers, running backs, and all that other good stuff. I think they're more of a complete team than what North Carolina is, and that's the reason why I have them losing this game, which actually is not too far off of what my final prediction for North Carolina is going to be. I originally had it at 6-6 or 7-5. With, winning a game that they shouldn't. Right. Now, because of this Sam Hartman situation, when I originally did these notes, the whole entire Sam Hartman situation wasn't out yet. Nobody even knew he was out for the season yet at all. Right. So because of that, I have to tweak my final prediction for North Carolina. And I have them going 8-4. I think that is reasonable.
Yeah.
I think it is more logical, more likely to happen. And to be honest, considering what's happened with Mac Brown since he's been at North Carolina, disappointing season after disappointing season, so much talent. And like you said, they're not disciplined. They haven't been able to execute with their talent. I do think an 8-4 season should feel like North Carolina, the two North Carolina fans feel like you guys won the Super Bowl. Because not a lot of people well, a lot of people are high on North Carolina, but also at the same time, not a lot of people are at the same time.
Right.
And
absolutely, I agree 100%. But you got to think too, if North Carolina can pull an 8-4, I think that would set the tone going into 23, where you'd have a more, realistic shot of possibly winning another, possibly going to a coastal championship in 23. Man, I think it'd be a better all around year if you can hit that 8-4, 7-5 at worst, 9-3 at best. I mean, 9-3, that means everything went 100% your way. And you win a game in there that you shouldn't win. But like I said, more realistically, an 8-4 campaign would be your best situation.
Yeah, see, and that's what I think as well. Because a lot of these games I have on their schedule are one possession losses, which means it could go either way. The App State game, even though we both disagreed on that, North Carolina, I'm not saying they can't win. They are quite capable of winning that game. But it's because it's the second game of the season and the fact that they have to go on the road again the following week was the reason why I had them losing that game. Now, I went back and forth between Georgia State and App State, which one could they lose? Because it's two road games in a row. And history has shown a lot of teams who have that many road games in a row, 2 road games in a row, you may lose one of them or if both of them. But I don't see that happening. I don't. Yeah. They could win that game, though. That would give them a 9-3 9-3 record. Math is not my strong suit.
That's all right.
It's just not. It's not. So they could go 9-3. They could even win the Pitt game. They could.
It's possible.
That would give them a 10-win season right there.
Yeah.
Well beyond exceeding expectations.
Possibly. I mean, it's all gonna depend on quarterback play, and if they can stay disciplined, and if they can execute. There's, the ceiling is 10 wins, the floor is 8 wins. So the ceiling is 10 wins, the floor is 7 wins, the middle you're looking at about 8.
Yeah, I honestly do believe though, if North Carolina does get to 10 wins, it's not going to be because of the regular season.
No, it'd be
because of a bowl game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And I even said that to Pitt fans. If Pitt goes to 10 wins again this season, I'll be okay if it was at the hands of a bowl game. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Because that's not something that has happened before in Pitt history. Or should I say, it's only happened once that I can remember off the top of my head where we won back-to-back 10 games in a row, or 10 games in a season.
Yeah, you're looking at the
that was in the 80s before I was even born.
Yeah, you're looking at your Tony Dorsett area during the late 70s and during the Johnny Majors campaign during the late 70s, early 80s. That's when Pitt was the most dominant.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can get to the comment section for a little bit before I head off here and deal with my other minions. Yvette says hi. Welcome, Yvette. Thank you for stopping in. Joey Foster is asking, TALK-IS-PITT, are you happy with the new AP poll, or are you like me and think that Pitt is overrated as well? No, I am not like you. I do not think Pitt is overrated. Now, would I had ranked them as high as 17? Probably not.
No, I think
I had them at 19.
I had them in the 20s.
Yeah, I had Pitt at 19. That was my preseason ranking. Now, I don't release that only because they're meaningless and they're just used to get the trash talk going, in my opinion. They're meaningless. They mean absolutely nothing. Now, I'll tell you who is overrated, and that's Miami.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say they're overrated. They got the talent. It's now it's time for them to put up or shut up, because for the last
Yeah.
several years you've heard the U was back, the U was back, the U was back, and
And then the U is down.
yeah. Then they have yet to win an ACC championship since joining the league. They've won one Coastal Division title. They have it's time for them to show up as a scary boogeyman like they were in the 80s and 90s. And the early
No, I
2000s.
mean, Pitt has been in the ACC for going on 11 seasons. No,
Yep, since 2013.
Yeah, so 2013. So, yeah, going on 10 years. So, Pitt accomplished what Miami couldn't do in 18 years, and they did it in 9.
Yep.
So, I'm not on this Miami hype train like everybody else is. Do I think they're talented? Oh, absolutely. Do I think they're the most talented team in the ACC? Very well close. Very close. However, even when they were talented, they didn't do very well. You remember 2017, what happened at the end of the year, who ruined Miami's perfect season. And that year they ended up, it's embarrassing us losing to Western Michigan, but it's even more embarrassing when you were ranked the number 2 team, you lost to a 4-win Pitt team, and you lose the ACC championship, all to get shut out by Louisiana Tech. That's what Miami is. That's what they do. Now, can we produce better results than that? Probably not. I'm being honest. That's just what Pitt does. Pitt shits the bed every now and again, besides last year. Now, I believe this is different, though, for Pitt. For once, we have a complete team. We don't have just one player on defense who is good, i.e. Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was the whole entire team the time he was here. We didn't have very good receivers. We didn't have very good quarterbacks. Our offensive line sucked. Our defense was even 10 times worse. And Aaron Donald carried that team. He was what I call a once-in-a-generational talent that nobody saw coming.
And also, I would throw James Conner on that list as well.
Well, James Conner was a little bit more heavily recruited out of high school only because he's big. He was a big boy at 6'2", 240. He was originally recruited to Pitt as a defensive end because they thought he was going to keep gaining weight. But he did play defensive end, actually. At Pitt, his freshman year, he was a defensive end and a running back. But then he lost weight, became a running back. But he was more recruited than Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald only had one Division I offer and 3 group of 5 offers. That was it.
No, wow.
Most people don't know that. He wasn't recruited very well at all. And I thought that was really disrespectful.
No, wow.
Aaron Donald is a bad mother effer. Thank you.
Yes.
How's everyone doing tonight? We're doing good, Sorgi. But is there anything you would like to bring up about North Carolina? Maybe we didn't cover. Or
no, I think we pretty well hit everything on the head. And this one let you guys know. Thank you so much, TALK-IS-PITT, for having me on. Our first collab, first of many, I assume. And also, if folks out there would like to check our channel out, the 304 Podcast, right here on YouTube and Facebook. And also, you'll put my links down below. That's Marcus Dean at Twitter. I interact with folks. Mine's the sports only page. So that's all you'll see is sports related stuff, college football. Everywhere from the SEC to the ACC, I cover. So Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been a fun time, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming on. Sorry, I kept having to push it off
Oh no, you're
over
good. You're good.
over a few weeks.
No, it's okay.
This should have been done in July.
Oh no, you're fine,
Um,
dude. No worries at all.
definitely, but I'm glad we got it not
Yep.
got it out the way, because that means it makes it seem like I didn't want to do it, because I really did actually. Um, but I came into this nervous because I've never done something like this
I did
before.
just fine.
I did not plan on making Talk-Is-PITT a thing. I
Yeah.
made this channel to trash talk Golden Blue Dude.
Yeah.
But it became something, and you know
Yeah.
what? I said, let's run with it. Let's see where
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah.
And I love it. Absolutely
Yeah.
love it.
Absolutely.
Eventually, I may make this once I decide to finally stop slaving for somebody else and do my own thing. I may make this my full-time gig.
Hey
You
man,
know, I got to get out
go
of
for
this basement. So, I mean, I renovated the basement, but honestly, this
Put you up a green
doesn't bother
screen.
me.
Nah, put you
Yeah,
up a green
I'm.
screen and put up a green screen there
Yeah.
and put the pit logo. Well, no,
Well,
you can't use the pit logo because that'd be copyright infringement. But this,
yeah.
put up a green screen and maybe blue screen there and use the colors and man, just take off and have a good time with it. That's all we do at the 304 podcast. We do it for fun. We do it for the love of the game. But yeah, definitely appreciate you having me on.
No problem. Thank you, everyone else who stopped by in the chat. Sorgi, the Mad Tea Sipper. Some of you guys I don't recognize because I know I've gotten new subscribers lately, so bear with me. Joey, Sorgi, Tiger Baskins, thank you for coming in. True Seminole, everybody else, Yvette, everybody else who stopped by. Thank you guys very much. The next video you guys will see me do is the Virginia Tech. That will be a video, not a live stream. You'll see me preview Virginia Tech. After that, it will be, it will not be Earth. Where is that schedule? Okay. I will be doing Virginia Tech, Louisville, Syracuse, Virginia, Duke, and Miami in the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Marcus, you guys got anything coming up on the 304 podcast?
We're always doing videos. Stay tuned. We'll be doing deep dives on the Pac-12 coming up, and me and my Oklahoma boys will be doing some stuff from Oklahoma. We'll be deep diving Oklahoma here coming up. So get ready for that as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mark. You have a good rest of your evening. Everybody else, I'll see you guys later.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Right, there we go.